Power Platform. And the idea is, we all know there's Copilot now from Microsoft. And what does this mean in the Power Platform? We have four of us who will be taking this track. Myself and Jayshree, Olajumoke, fondly called MJ, just joined us, and we have Rachel as well. So one of each of us will be running the different modules and will be holding the classes at 9:30. So what are the modules we want to cover? We're going to give you an introduction to Copilot in Microsoft 365 in Power Platform. What is that about, generally speaking? And then each of the modules will cover how to use Copilot in Power Apps, in Power Automate, Power Pages, and Copilot in Microsoft's Copilot Studio, which used to be called the Power Virtual Agent. And on our sixth class, we're going to talk about using intelligence with AI Builder and GPT. So that's the plan for this class. So I would advise, if you don't have much experience with the Power Platform previously, you're welcome to stay with us, but you should also join the Power Platform class because they will be starting from scratch. But our focus will be showing you how to quickly and how to develop applications, Power Automate flows, all of that using Copilot. So you still learn how to build it, but we won't like be going into the basics of Copilots the basics of the Power Platform or how to build an app from scratch. We'll just be showing you how Copilot helps you to achieve all of these things. Okay, so what is Microsoft Copilot? This is just a general overview. And I'm sorry, I have just one screen, so I can't see like if you raise your hand or anything. So if you have any question, you need to please unmute your mic so I can hear you. So this is just an example of the landscape of Microsoft's Copilots, of Microsoft Copilots or Copilots with an S behind it, because they have a lot of them now. So we have what we call like the first party app, which is Copilot for Microsoft 365. Something entirely different, which we'll be talking about later in the year. That's like Copilot in your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Whiteboard, Teams, all of that. There's the Microsoft 365 Copilot that covers all of that. And then you can then decide to extend the use of Microsoft 365 Copilot with plugins, with Microsoft Graph APIs, and even with Power Platform as well to do more. And then we have the enhanced ecosystem. That is when you have the Copilot in your business applications. So, for example, there's Copilot for Dynamics 365, Copilot for the Power Platform. There's Copilot sales, I think, which is a part of Viva. So you now start talking about all of those Copilots that are existing in other Microsoft solutions. So Microsoft's goal is to make Copilot available in all of their solutions. Every Microsoft solution will have a Copilot in it. Now, and then there's the custom Copilots where you start to talk about using Azure OpenAI service to build custom Copilots. So the summary of all the Copilots that you have in Microsoft 365 is kind of in two ways. It's either you buy or you build. So you can buy, means that all of these Copilots are out of the shelf. Once you get your application, it's already there. But we may have some situations where in organizations where they want to do something extra, then you talk about building your Copilot. So, I have my data somewhere else, not necessarily in my OneDrive or SharePoint, and I want to do something specific with it, or I have a specific need. I want to do facial recognition or something. Then all of these Copilots can help me because I want to embed it into a custom built application. Then you start to talk about building your own custom Copilots. Okay, any questions? All right, so let's talk about Copilots in Microsoft 365 specifically now. Sorry, Copilots in the Power Platform specifically. So I'll reshare. Okay. So why the Power Platform? Right? We may know that Microsoft Power Platform has a lot of benefits and advantages, like it has one common data model across all business applications. So if you are using Dynamics CE, you're using ERP, you're using sales, marketing, it's all using one common data model. Um, Almost 500K Power Platform customers across the globe, and 97% of all the Fortune 500 companies are using business application. So the Power Platform is big and it continues to be big. It's almost a case of everyone that has Microsoft 365 is using the Power Platform. So that's how massive the Power Platform is. But what Microsoft is now starting to do is they're starting to infuse AI into the Power Platform. So Copilot for Power Platform. What AI does for Power Platform? AI helps the developers and also the end users of the Power Platform. So you can use the Copilots in the Power Platform. There's generative AI templates that you can use, and there's also the AI assisted data integration, which developers can use in the Power Platform. And then for the users, when you're using the Power Platform, for example, if you are using maybe your Power BI, you want all your Power Apps as well, or Power Automate, you want to, get answers from your application itself. So we'll talk about some of them, most of these in coming weeks. So you're in Power Automate, you're having an issue with your cloud flow, you're trying to resolve it, you can chat with Copilot and find out what's going on. You're in Power Apps, you want a summary of what the application is about. You can use the Copilot to give a summary of what the application does. You can use Copilot to help you with your that's if you're a user. If you're a developer, you can use Copilot to help you get the logic that you need to create the applications or even the cloud flows. So you want to create a simple flow that sends an email when a certain action happens. You can write that out in simple text, and then the cloud flow is automatically generated for you. So these are the different ways that Copilot helps in the Power Platform for both developers and even for those the users of the tools as well. So Power Platform, I'm starting from a place assuming that you already know all of the tools in the Power Platform, but I'll go back one step. So the Power Platform comprises of 4 tools. We have the Power Apps, which you are seeing a bit of on my screen at the moment. Power Automates. We have the Power BI, and we have the Copilot Studio, which used to be called the Power Virtual Agent, which is just used to create chatbots. And of course, there's Power Pages, which is used for website development. So Power Apps for application development, Power Automate for automations, Power Virtual Agents, now called Copilot Studio for creating chatbots, Power BI for your data and analytics, and then Power Pages for developing websites. So those are the tools. So this is what I have on my screen now is Copilot in Power Apps. And this just shows us how you can use AI to create tables. So you can just go to Power Apps and you can say, oh, I'd like to create an application for expense reports. And I want it to capture the date the expense was made. I want it to capture the amount. I want it to capture the location, and the what else? The department that the person who makes expenses from. And once you put all of that in plain text, it automatically generates the tables for you and also the application itself. So that's the kind of power that Copilot brings to Power Apps, and then you can refine that more. So using Copilot um, in any of the applications is just similar to the way you use your ChatGPT at the moment. So I'm going to pause here now, and I want to hear from us in the audience. How many of us are familiar with prompts and prompting, or you've heard of the word prompt engineering before?
Okay.
Does anybody want to help us?
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, I've heard about prompt. I've seen a lot of posts, in short, even the prompt engineering, but I don't really know what it means. But I know when it comes to using ChatGPT, I know how to be able to send text there and get some results. So I don't know if that qualifies as a prompt activity.
Once you're sending text and you're getting results, yes, qualifies as a prompt. Okay, thank you so much, Mo. So what is prompts? What's prompt? It's very simple. We like fancy names. It's just as simple as what you said. You go into ChatGPT, you put in text, you get results. So the text that you're putting in is called a prompt. And I just want to pause here so I explain prompts a bit. So it's called a prompt. But if you remember a couple of years ago, when we were all trying to get started with Google, I don't know if any of you had this experience, but I did. When we're all getting familiar with Google search, and you want to say, oh, I'm looking for this, then you write a very long sentence and then you search. And sometimes you're on page 5, you have not gotten your answer yet. Don't know if anyone can relate to that. And then you have a friend, you say, oh, I have this error and I'm trying to find the answer. Have you seen it? And the person just goes, da, 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 da. And page 1, link 2, it says, oh, this is what you need. I'm wondering, what did I do wrong? Why am I on page 5 of my Google search? So it's called prompting. And that's where the art of prompt becomes more important as you start to interact with Copilot, ChatGPT, all of these AI tools, because the more efficient your prompt is, the better the response that you get. I don't know if that makes sense. So the more efficient your prompt is, the better the results you get. And there are certain principles around prompting, like, so I'll just give us very few examples. It needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, it needs to be specific. Sometimes you can include a role play. I'll give you one simple example. You can say, oh, act like a sales, like the ones I usually use when I'm doing my demos. You can say, oh, act like a sales personnel who's trying to explain Copilot for Power Platform to executives in a manufacturing organization. State the benefits that Copilot for Power Platform can give to them and why they should use this in their organization. So that's different from saying, give me the benefits of Copilot. I don't know if you're with me, or give me benefits of Copilot for Power Platform. Why is Copilot for Power Platform useful? Do you see the difference? So one is just general, one is very specific. And the answers, if you just after the class, you can try it on ChatGPT. You see that the answers you get will be very different because you have included some context into it and you are being specific. So why did I bring up prompt engineering? I brought up prompt engineering because when you're using Copilot for Power Platform, prompting is also important because that's where you get um your responses. If the better your prompts, the better the output that you get. The poorer your prompts, the poorer the outputs that you get. So that's just something to bear in mind as we talk about Copilot in the Power Platform. Okay. I don't know. Do you have access to the chat window? Can you type in the chat? And anyone see the chat box?
No.
No access.
No. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll need to work on the invite against the next class because I want us to be at least chatting. So I'm sure you are with me in the box. Okay. All right. Let me go back to my slide and we'll continue with the Power Platform and the benefits of Copilot in the Power Platform. Just share my screen. Yes. Okay, so we talked about Copilot in Power Apps. We talked about some of the things that it can do for you, like automatically create your tables, your apps. It can help you to accelerate very simple and repetitive tasks, and then also help you to do all of this with natural language. Like you can ask questions from the data. You can see on my screen, there's a little Copilot window by the right, and then you have all of this data in your apps, and you can ask intelligent questions. And the good thing about Copilot generally, Microsoft Copilot generally, and Copilot in Power Apps is you have access to a prompt library. So it also gives you some ideas or some things you can ask as well to help you get started. All right, so Copilot in Power Automate. Very good. You can write out your flow in everyday words. I want to create a flow that automatically moves emails from foyin.olajidebelo@textilearts.com to foyinx@xyz.com with the subject urgent, and I want a reminder to come to blah 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 at this time every day. Just simple languages, because one of the things that citizen developers, people that get started with the Power Platform, struggle with is the ability to use Power Automate, because you need to understand expressions, a lot of things. But what this does is it lowers the barrier to entry for the users. You can just come here, write what you want in everyday language, and you get your flow up and running immediately. So that's one of the benefits of Copilot in Power Automate. And then it also helps with troubleshooting of failures in your Power Automate as well. So that's some of the things that you can see a little picture on the right of my screen of how Copilot in Power Automate works. So our plan is today, we're just going to introduce you to all of these Copilot tools, and then from next week, we'll start going into the practicals, and we'll start trying out, doing the demos. You see it work, and we also want you to try it out on your own as well. Give your assignments. So this is Copilot in Power Pages. So this is Power Pages, one of the Power Platform tools that helps you to design intuitive websites. And we can see that from here, you're able to create forms, your tables using natural language, and it automatically generates the content for you for your website. So it's just the same principles as well as Power Automate. You also have that in the Power Pages. Any questions? Okay. I really would like to know everyone that is in the class at the moment. I don't know if you have access to Discord. So you start to have an idea of people that will be joining us from next week, because we need to talk about creating accounts for you in order to try out some of these things that we're saying. So if you have access to the Discord channel, please can you just say hi on it, so I know that myself and the other mentors know that you were in the class today. And one of the things we also want to do is we want to give out certificate of attendance. So certificate of attendance you get based on your attendance in the classes. So if you're able to hit 80 to 90, 80 to 100% attendance, Textiles will issue certificate of attendance to say, oh, your name and everything, which is really beneficial to some of us. And if you don't have access to the Discord, after the class, you can let us know, so we'll get you connected. Thank you, Kingora. I can see your hi in the Discord channel. All right, so Copilot Studio, Microsoft Copilot Studio. Microsoft Copilot Studio is used to build your own copilots, like your own little bots. Now, I've been saying Copilot a lot, and I'm wondering, do people know what Copilot is? Copilot is exactly what it means. Your co-pilot, somebody that is riding the plane with you. So the whole essence of Copilot is to support you to do things faster. So when you hear Copilot, just think about it like your personal assistant. Imagine that you have a PA or an EA working with you. That's just what Copilot is. All it's trying to do is help you and support you to do whatever tasks you want to achieve faster and in an optimal and more efficient way. Again, it's not the pilot, it's the co-pilot. All right. So Copilot for when Microsoft Copilot Studio helps you to build your own Copilot. Just build your own little chatbots. That's what it helps you to do. So you can maybe let me give a simple example. Just imagine that you are in a company and there is a complaint about oh, we have to send our request to IT support and they never get back to us on time. And it's the same questions. And IT support is complaining. People are always asking us, how do I get my system connected to Wi-Fi? And we have to be answering the same questions over and over again. I'll stop sharing for a bit so I can see well, imaginarily see us. Let's start sharing, let's start saying, oh, we keep getting the same questions over and over again. And it's becoming tiring. I remember when I used to work in support, I had a notepad with all the answers to the questions that I know that I would get. So once anybody asks me a question, I'll just go to my notepad, copy and paste the response there. So rather than me wasting my time doing that, and the other party to wasting their own time, having to send me IT support a question and waiting 2 days or 1 day or 5 hours to know how to connect to Wi-Fi, why can't we just ask a bot? So I'm sure most of us are familiar with bots because when you go to websites, you just see the bots popping up as well. So that's the whole idea of Copilot Studio. Now, Copilot Studio helps you to create that same experience, but now within your within your organization, and also you can attach it to your website as well. So that's what it's about. So I will share my screen now. So you can build your own co-pilots as your own chatbots. You can customize it as well. You can connect it to various technologies. So if you have data that is sitting in maybe an HR system, for example, I want to know how many leave days I have. That leave days data will probably not be sitting in like somebody's OneDrive. It's probably be in an HR system. So you can then use the connectors to pull that data and give response back to the users. And then it's easy for you to also manage because all of this now, the idea of the Power Platform again is a low code tool. So low code tool means that you are doing most of the things you are doing without writing pro code. So you're not going to Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code to produce all of these bots and these apps and this automation. You're doing it from a what you see is what you get screen, a graphical interface. You are dragging, you are dropping, you understand? So it's a lot easier for people to develop rather than having to learn how to write like C# and all that before you can get anything done in terms of apps and flows and chatbots. So that's what Microsoft Copilot Studio is, and then the AI just increases the and enhances the experience of creating your bots. Please, do you have any questions? No? Okay. All right. So let's continue. So the next gen of AI for developers is going to help us to AI is going to help us rapidly upskill like we're doing now. Are going to get the knowledge of, in fact, even if you've not used the Power Platform before and you come to this class, it will be also a great way to validate that the Copilot is working as it should. Because the whole idea is to help you rapidly upskill yourself in using these tools to create your app and your flow and your bots. And of course, you can develop faster because you are using a lot of things that are auto-generated, like the example I gave about the automation. Just write in plain English, you are getting your cloud flow created for you. And it also helps you to streamline data integration with a few clicks. All of that is done. I hope someone is excited as me, because I'm always very excited when I'm talking about the Power Platform. Much more AI and the Power Platform now. So, how does this work? Microsoft is very big on responsible AI and the use of AI responsibly. So, Power Platform, the Copilot in Power Platform runs on Azure OpenAI, right? And it makes it readily available with that's the engine behind it. So when you write something in natural language and you're getting the everything created for you, all of that is being enhanced by Azure OpenAI. And then Microsoft also ensures that Copilot in Power Platform meets the responsible Microsoft's responsible AI standard. I know some of their standards are transparency, um, trust, reliability. So they are telling you that whatever you are doing, this is what you are using Copilot. This is Copilot doing it for you. So they always give you that feedback. This is Copilot. This Copilot generated. So that means that people know it's transparent that this is a bot that is doing this for you. And also they have their principles around security as well. So they are not storing anybody's personal data. When you put your prompts in, Microsoft is not storing your prompts. So all of those principles are the principles that governs the use of responsible AI in the Power Platform. Okay, so there are lots of large language models out there, and this just shows you an example. So most of us are familiar with ChatGTP. There's also GTP3. There's DALL-E for images from text. There's also Codex that helps to understand and generate code. And there's Whisper that does automatic speech generation. So these are just some examples of large-scale foundation models that the OpenAI enhances. So I'll stop here for any questions that we may have around Copilots in Power Platform. Do you have any questions? Is it clear? Is it?
Sorry, excuse me.
Oh,
Could you
sorry.
go back to the last slide?
Sorry. Yes,
Could you
yes,
go back
please.
to the last slide, please? Your last slide. Please.
Okay. There's an echo, so I have to.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
One second. Maybe share. Okay. Bear with me. Which one was it now? All right. So, like, as I find my last slide, please, no, navigating one second. This slide.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This one. Thanks.
Okay, so I'll just finish up since we don't have any questions at the moment. We'll talk about just comparing Azure OpenAI to OpenAI, and these are just some comparisons around various categories and the additional benefit that Azure OpenAI gives to us. So OpenAI, for example, is like running on ChatGTP. Azure OpenAI is a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilots in the Power Platform. So you can see that there's a lot of additional security layers in Azure's OpenAI service. Their compliance is more. They meet a lot of additional compliance standards. They have their own Azure SLA. And then responsible AI. There's a lot of built-in and enterprise level considerations in the Azure OpenAI. So the whole benefit of this is just to let you know that the Copilot for Power Platform has a lot of security embedded in it. So even though security is embedded in it, we still say don't put personal data inside. Don't put sensitive company data inside. Even though Microsoft has said it meets all of these standards, we will not expect you to be infusing data that is private or confidential to your organization, right? So Microsoft says your data is your data. We don't use your data. We don't store your data, which is fine. But I will still personally advise whenever you're using any of the AI models, even ChatGPT, don't put personal or company data in it. If you are trying to get information out of it, make your question very generic. Like in the example I was saying, I just said, oh, I want to make a presentation to a manufacturing firm. I didn't say the name of the organization. I didn't say the name of my organization, So just always make your prompts generic. Don't put personal data or company data in the AI models, please. ChatGPT stores your data for, I think, up to 30 days or something like that. So the data is stored somewhere. Your prompts are stored somewhere. And you should know that because when you go to ChatGPT, you see that all your history is there. So if you are still able to access your history, it means that your data is stored somewhere. So that's what I was saying. Don't put anything in AI models generally. But Microsoft says we don't store your data, which we believe them they don't. They don't use your data to train their models. Their models are already trained. They don't your data is protected. Like we already saw all of the principles that and compliance level that Microsoft uses around their AI services for copilots. But again, I would say don't put personal data in any copilot prompt. That's me. So these are the principles of responsible AI that Microsoft has for us. Privacy and security, we've spoken a lot about that. Your data is your data. We're doing your data to train the model. They have all of these standards that they adhere to. Inclusiveness. They always make sure that the response to the prompts are inclusive, are not biased, right? Accountability. Microsoft continues to stand heavily behind all of the Copilot products that they produce. So they are accountable for it. And they let us know as users that they're accountable for those products. Transparency is all they let you know, especially when you use Copilot in Outlook, in PowerPoint. It will tell you this content is um this content is Copilot generated. You need to verify it as a human. Fairness as well. They want to be fair with a Copilot, the responses, the feedback from the prompts, and then it's also reliability and safety is also important. That whatever they are generating and sending back to you is reliable. It's not just garbage or gibberish or nonsense. And also it's something that people can use and know that yes, this data that is coming back is from a reliable source. But again, you must always verify. So that's why Copilot is not your pilot, it's your co-pilot. It's only helping you. So you can't build an application that you just say, oh, Copilot, generate this application for me with Power Apps, and just release it to your enterprise without going through, without verifying, without making sure that all of the security permissions and rules are in place. Then you are going to be held responsible as the developer. So Copilot is only helping you, but it's not going to do your work for you. You still need to do your work yourself. Okay, so just that's all my slides for today. So ahead of next class, I'm going to give us an assignment. And my assignment is I'm going to go and do research on prompts. We're going to learn more. I spoke a bit about prompts. What is prompts? So I'm going to learn more as our homework around prompting. What does prompt engineering mean? What makes a great prompt? And what does a bad prompt look like? When we come back next week, we're going to start off with that. I will want to see our answers in form of examples as well. And if you want to submit, you can also submit it on the Discord channel before that and just say, okay, this is my assignment, this is what the prompt is, and give me one example. This is a good prompt, this is a bad prompt. So that's just to get us understanding what prompts means a bit. So that's the homework. I hope that is clear on the assignments. I want to hear your voice. We can't chat. The chat box is not working. So the only way I can know that you're listening to me is if I hear your voice or see your thumbs up. Thank you, Lara. Or see your thumbs up. So exactly only those that give me thumbs up or mute and respond to me, I know that you're following. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm still expecting from thank you, Gozie. I've not seen Adepeju and I have a J here as well. I'm sorry, please, what's the name? J. The Teams is just showing J. You need to sort this out.
My name is Joan. I've got it saved as J. That's why.
Yeah, your name is what?
My name is Joan. I've got
Joan.
it saved on the system as J. That's why.
Yes, it's fine. Thank you so much, John. Okay, so that's the homework for today. Now, the other thing we need to, before I go to the next thing, just be sure we are listening. I'll ask us one or two questions. Please, let's unmute and respond. What tool is used to create chatbots? Which of the Power Platform tools is used to create chatbots? If you know the answer, please can you unmute your mic and tell us which of the Power Platform tools is used to create chatbots?
Copilot in Studio.
Thank you, Copilot Studio. Thank you very much. What? Think of another ask that will not be too simple. What service does my Power Platform Copilot work with? What service enables us to to use Copilot in Power Platform? Who wants to help us? Just take a random guess. Even if there's no wrong answer, we are all learning. What is the service? Okay, it's the Azure OpenAI service that enables us to use Copilot in Power Platform. Okay, does Copilot support natural language? Yes, true. Yes or no? Does Copilot support natural language? Yes or no?
Yes.